Developed by Frogwares, Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments is the 10th outing for Holmes and Watson in the ongoing The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes series that first began in 2002. Now, Crimes and Punishments originally launched in 2014 for PS3, PS4, Xbox 360 and Xbox One, but now Frogwares has brought this investigation-themed title to the Nintendo Switch. The question is this a perfect fit for the Switch, or merely elementary? Thrust into the shoes of Sherlock Holmes himself, Crimes and Punishments is a narrative-based investigation game, a point-and-click title given the full 3D makeover. As the legendary detective, it's your job to take on the cases that have stumped Scotland Yard, and use your brilliant intellect to deduce the truth. You do this by scouring every location for clues, talking to witnesses, interrogating suspects, and using Holmes' homemade lab. There are 6 cases for Holmes to prove his deductive superiority, each a well-written tale of dastardly deeds, steeped in late Victorian ambience. Now, Crimes and Punishments, while not having an overarching thread to connect all the cases, is still extremely well written and voice-acted throughout. Each case, acting as a standalone story, presents a great cast of characters and mysteries for you to unravel, and while all of them do deal with murder, the manner in which each one is handled is unique. Bloodbath, for instance, is a favourite of mine that has you searching through ancient Roman ruins to find out why an eminent archaeologist was murdered. Each case comes with a set of locations for you to scour for clues, along with a couple of witnesses and potential suspects to said dastardly deeds. Like most modern adventure games, areas and items of interest will be highlighted for you to interact with, easing the pain of scouring an area without the pixel hunting of the classic point-and-click titles. Whether it's just one item to find, or a table to peruse multiple items, you can always pick up and rotate objects for examination, collect notes to read, and have them all catalogued. Once you've exhausted an area, the game highlights the hotspot in green, letting you know you found all you need to solve the case. Of course, environments also contain hidden clues that you can find while searching through the evidence pointed out by others, and also by using Holmes' vivid imagination to put certain key pieces of evidence together. When speaking to suspects or witnesses, you can create a character profile of them through Holmes' astute observation skills. The game allows you to do this by minutely examining their appearance, so that you'd know if Suspect A was a gardener by the state of his hands, as an example. This character profile plays into the questions you can ask, especially when you need to confront them with a correct observation during an interview. Along with the clues you find at the crime scene, new avenues of investigation and questioning can be opened up, which usually complicates the case more than it clears it up. Holmes' Mind Palace, a screen where all the clues are located and can be combined to create deductions, is where you'll correlate all you know to try and find the correct answers or chain of answers. The Mind Palace can also end up giving you extra avenues to investigate, such as having to perform experiments or go undercover using Holmes' skill of disguise. Crimes and Punishments is also full of minigames to spice up the experience. All of them will have a direct bearing on the case at hand, such as hand-to-hand combat sequences or performing an experiment in Holmes' homemade CSI lab. The more action-oriented ones are by far the least interesting, but all of them can be skipped if you're having trouble successfully completing them. It's one way to make sure you don't get stuck when all you want to do is focus on piecing the evidence together. Initially, it took me a while to get used to Crimes and Punishments' take on the adventure game formula. However, once I began to delve deeper into the systems and the narrative, the more obsessed I became with trying to find and solve the conundrum presented by each case. This came down to 2 reasons: the narrative and the flexibility of outcomes through the Mind Palace system. Collecting clues and trying to see how they all fit together in the Mind Palace is what really grabbed me. Now, while there is only one correct answer to each case, Frogwares have managed to craft a set of whodunits, whose chain of evidence usually gives you multiple possible answers. What's more, it's entirely possible to accuse and send the wrong man to the gallows, and complete the case with that conclusion and keep pushing forward, as your deduction seems just as plausible as any other. Once you've decided who the culprit is, you can either condemn or absolve them to some degree. The game will give you a stat list of your decision, along with the amount of clues that you've uncovered per case, and the option to go back and change your decision before shutting the file for good. If you're unsure, you can even check to see if you've made the right decision, though I do think this robs the game of some of its replay value. Visually, Crimes and Punishments, which is running on the Unreal Engine, looks fantastic on the Nintendo Switch Lite screen. Character models look detailed, with high-quality textures for skin and clothing. The environments are a particular highlight. While small, they're steeped in a tremendous amount of set dressing and detail, making for a gorgeous take on Victorian London, with beautiful textures and modelling work for the props. Performance is also great, benefiting from the slower nature of the gameplay. That said, Holmes' running animation can look a little janky. Unfortunately, the load times between areas, or when initiating a conversation, can be quite long, and since you're moving between areas quite a bit and starting up conversations regularly, that means there's a lot of loading going on. It's not too frustrating, but it does feel as though this is an area the game can be improved in. Also, Crimes and Punishments is something of a battery chewer. The usual 4-hour battery life of my Switch Lite, game dependent of course, only lasted for just over 3 hours while playing Crimes and Punishments. In conclusion, while I initially found Crimes and Punishments gameplay a little awkward to get into, once I had spent some time putting clues together, I found myself hooked on each case and unable to put the game down. With some gorgeous portable visuals, great voice acting, and wonderful writing, Crimes and Punishments isn't just a fantastic port of a fantastic game for the Switch, but a whodunit-driven whodunit adventure that'll always leave you second-guessing yourself.